This is Red Dog Terrain. Welcome back to the shed. Today we're building the slanty tower from Beyond the Witchlight. In my Sunday D&D game, we're playing the Beyond the Witchlight campaign. We're about 10 sessions in and just now made it to the wild area that is just beyond the Witchlight Carnival. We had too much fun with the rides and games and weird creatures and custard eating contest. Spoilers, when you get to hither, there's a slanty tower in the marsh. When you check it out further, there's a crashed hot air balloon with a fey dragon in the cage. As our DM described it, I knew immediately I wanted to build it. I might have stopped paying attention to the details in the story at that point as I began to figure out what I could do. I might have been the reason our DM needed to have a lengthy recap at the beginning of the next session. So my plan was have it at the top of the tower, be able to connect to the base and marsh, giving it the slant. I'd also build a piece that would serve to heighten the tower when it was slanted and be the base when it was not slanted, and make the balloon rigid and able to slide on and off. This is a fairly basic build. Lots of foam bricks, which you've seen me do before. Foam wood beams, which you've seen me do before. It was a fairly basic paint job as well. I only had a week to build the whole thing for it next time we played, so I kept it basic. The most interesting part for me was incorporating the slant of the tower and building the balloon. But before we get to that, I realize this may be some people's first time, so let me talk what I've done and how I did it. I started with a Parmesan cheese container. I super glued the lid in place. Then I cut some thick pieces of XPS insulation foam. Using my gnarly wire brush, I created an easy wood texture. These beams would serve two purposes. One, add visual interest, and two, to make the top part of the tower a little more stable when it's sitting in its base. I hot glued or tacky glued the bricks I already had on hand from previous builds all around the tower. I cut and weathered the top of the tower, and I also glued in some 3D printed windows. After it was all built, I covered the whole thing in black paint and Mod Podge. This creates shadows and strengthened the foam. I also spray painted the whole thing gray and highlighted a few bricks in green and dark reds. After that, I gave the whole thing a wash and a black oil. After some dry brushing, detail painting, and UV resin glass, I think we're all cut up. With her morning star in hand, her feet squished in the wet marshland as Lorna cautiously approached the tower. A hard gust of wind blew, causing the basket of the balloon to sway. At that moment, she caught a glimpse of a small metal cage inside. The tiny creature inside gave a soft grunt. "You there in the basket." From inside the cage, a tired voice said, "Hello? Oh, please help." Lorna glanced around, anticipating an ambush or a trick. "Who are you?" I'm Sir Talavar, an esteemed member of the Sealy Court and a loyal vassal of the Summer Queen." "Yes, but are you friend or foe?" From inside the cage. "Well, that depends." Here's where I made a huge rookie mistake. I totally forgot to paint the base. I would spend plenty of time later trying to hide the obvious white foam underneath. I glued the base down to some cheap dollar store foam board. I added some extra bricks and sticks, and then I used my favorite flock, Huge Miniatures 4-in-1, still looking for a sponsored video by the way. I used some dead grass flock and my container of random grasses to fill in any empty spots. Once all the grass and flock was down, I soaked the whole thing in icy purple alcohol and then watered down PVA. This locks it all in. Okay, let's get to the balloon. I cut a 2" by 2" square of foam board. I cut shallow lines and accentuated them with a pen. This would be the planks of the wood. I cut some more foam board into short columns and started gluing and pinning them, but quickly moved to hot glue. After that was black paint and Mod Podge, and then brown paint for the wood. I measured a cross of craft burlap, cut it out, folded it to cover the sides, and glued it in place. While I do that, I want to thank the band Aya for the use of their music in all of my videos. Please check them out on Bandcamp. There's a link in the description. I used watered down PVA to strengthen the sides and stiffen it up. With a couple of spots of hot glue, I secured the string that would go up to the balloon. With this new job, my videos are more sporadic and the time between can be kind of long, but I appreciate you sticking with me. So thanks to all my subscribers for watching. If you enjoyed the video, click the like button, tell a friend, but definitely leave a comment. I was going to use this striped blue material for the balloon, but at some point switched to a red, and I'm really not sure why. Maybe the campaign book said it was a red balloon. Let me know if I'm misremembering that, or where I might have gotten this idea of a red balloon from. After gluing 2 of the strings to the red material, I whipped up a batch of watered down PVA and soaked all of that red material in it. I wrapped the tower in parchment paper and then squished all the red inside, hoping it would stay. I also used a few pins. Here's the moment of truth. Would it all stay stiff and slide back in easily? Actually, that works pretty well. I'll let the music play as we go to our final shots. Thanks for watching.